Today I'm doing a short video on protecting your rudder post and your prop shaft and your prop using zincs. So the previous owner of this boat, he had an external zinc hung on a wire, and it just hung out over the side of the boat and into the water. And it's a great idea because for a couple reasons. That wire is connected to a zinc that's in the water, and it's also connected to the rudder post. So that protects the rudder post from galvanic corrosion. Dissimilar metals in salt water create a battery, and current flows between those two different metals, and what happens is one metal will cause the other metal to decay. So you don't want your rudder post, your prop shaft, your prop, your pintle and gudgeon. If you have a barn door type rudder like this boat has, it's a hinge on the bottom of the rudder. Those are all made out of metal. Where the cutlass bearing goes in, there's also metal there. So all of those need to be protected from galvanic corrosion. And so what happens is there's a more noble metal and a less noble metal. And the more noble metal, when those two metals are together in salt water, they're not touching, but they're next to each other or close. And it could be other metal around the marina. For instance, you might have a boat that's made out of steel, a steel-hulled boat next to you. That could cause your zincs to decay faster. So the zincs have to be replaced periodically to keep the metals protected. So the external zinc that the previous owner put on here actually works out really well. It helps protect the zincs that are already on the prop shaft. Well, in this case, it's only connected to the rudder post. So it protects the rudder stock, the rudder post. And but there are zincs on the rudder post in the water connected directly to the rudder post. And you want to protect those and keep them from decaying, try to slow down the decay faster on those. And so one way you can do that is to use another external zinc. So that'll add extra protection, and it'll slow down the decay of your other zincs that are on the rudder post. And the other day, and pretty much almost every day or several times a week, when I'm walking back here, I'll take the wire. So there's a wire here with a zinc on it, and I'll just move it around because you get bottom growth on them, like seagrass and different kind of critters will start growing on the zinc, and so you want to keep it cleaned off. And so the other day I reached down, and it was a zinc. I had replaced the zinc on that wire. It was the same wire that the previous owner had on here for years, so just a copper wire, stranded copper wire. And I was shaking, trying to get the bottom growth off, and I just dropped it to put it back in the water, and the wire broke. The zinc went down to the bottom of the bay here. And so I had to get a new zinc. And so I decided to get this really fancy zinc here. It's on a stainless steel cable, so this won't break. And it's a big honking zinc. And it looks like a fish. So yeah, it's not a real fish. It's just a big chunk of zinc. It's really heavy. And so this wire is connected. I connected it to his wire that he had. I had a problem trying to run this cable all the way to the rudder post because the way he had that other wire ran, this wouldn't fit through the hole, and I didn't want to drill any other holes going into there. So I thought, well, I'll just splice this wire into his wire because the wire's still in good shape, the wire that he had, and it's already connected to the rudder post. So that's what I did, and so this should last a long time. Now, what's really cool about having this setup is you can monitor how fast your zincs are decaying, because over time, this will start to decay and I'll be able to see it. My other ones would get pitted, and over time they'd have to be replaced. Just like the zincs on the prop shaft, the prop shaft and the rudder post and stuff have to be periodically replaced. It depends on how bad a decay problem you have, how much electrolysis is happening. And that electrolysis is the current passing between the two metals in the salt water. So some boats, depending on where you're at, the marina you're in, what's around your marina, how boats are grounded, your boat, the boats around you are grounded, your zincs can decay really fast. And if you don't replace them, then what happens is your rudder post and your prop shaft can get damaged. I've seen props where the blades were actually had broken off, completely broken off. Could you imagine a prop spinning and it throws a blade? It can cause major damage to the bottom of your boat. So what happens is the galvanic corrosion will damage the prop. And I've seen cracks that'll actually start forming in prop blades. This is one way you can monitor how fast your zincs are lasting. So it works out really good. It's extra protection, and you just pull it up. And I just set it inside the boat when I'm driving the boat, and when I pull back in the marina, I just throw it back in the water. And that's all you have to do. So what I'm going to do now is I just want to make sure that splice that I put in, I'm pretty damn sure it's connected very well. I did a really good job on it. I did this a couple weeks ago. And so I spliced it in. I crimped it with a crimp connector and made sure there was a lot of surface of wire and stainless steel cable connected. Crimped it down really good, and then I put shrink tube over it, and I actually also put this shoe goo. There's a product that used to be called shoe goo for fixing tennis shoes, but now they sell it different names like household goop, stuff like that, and it's kind of like model glue for making models. You know, when you're a kid, you made models. It's kind of like that kind of glue, but it's really, really strong, and it lasts forever. And when you glue something together with that stuff, it's almost impossible to take it apart. So it works really well. So I went ahead and filled up the shrink tube area with that goop, and then I heated up the shrink tube. When it shrunk, it squeezed the goop out, and so the whole connection's totally watertight. So it should be good for a very long time, years and years. So now I just want to make sure that that his wire is connected. The wire that he had in here was connected to the rudder post, and I just want to make sure that that I have an actual connection. So I'm going to do a continuity test with my voltmeter, and just to make sure that this wire and this zinc is connected to the rudder post. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so I have the zinc sitting here on the back end of my boat here, and I got my Fluke multimeter sitting there, and instead of crawling down under the cockpit here and trying to get down to the rudder post, instead of crawling in there, what I did was I took my stainless steel pole there. It's got a brush on the end of it. I took the brush off. It's for cleaning your boat, so it telescopes out that stainless steel pole there with the red handle on it. And so I got that pole touching the rudder post. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my multimeter, and I'm going to set it for continuity test. I'll turn it back on. So now it's set for a continuity test. When I touch the two probes, the red and black probe together, the tips of those, you'll see it on the meter, and the meter will also make a sound, a beep, and that tells me that wire from the zinc, from that fish thing there, from that zinc, is connected to the rudder post. So I want to make sure it's connected. It won't work if it's not connected to the rudder post. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, eventually what I may do is I may run another wire from the rudder post down to the engine. And I'm going to have to do a continuity test to see if I get continuity between the engine or transmission to the prop shaft, because then what will happen is I'll also have this zinc hooked in, and it'll also help protect my prop shaft and my prop. And so I'll have to see if I get continuity. I'm pretty sure that I will, because it is steel to steel bolted on the prop shaft. So it's a stainless steel prop shaft, and it connects to the transmission. So probably what I'll do is I'll just hook a wire to the transmission. I can't hook it directly to the prop shaft because it spins. So, but if I get continuity between the transmission and the prop shaft, then this will work to help protect the prop shaft and the prop, and hopefully make my zincs that are already on the prop shaft from decaying faster. So let's go ahead and see if I got continuity here. Okay, so you want to test your meter first. First thing you want to do is touch the two probes together to make sure that the meter is working properly. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So you'll see the display change, and you should hear a beep. And there you go. So it's working. So now I'm going to test to make sure that this zinc and this cable here, stainless steel cable, is connected to the rudder post. So that metal pole there is touching the rudder post, and so we'll see what happens. So hopefully I should get a beep. Let's see what happens. And it doesn't matter which of these you touch. You can be the black one or the red one. It doesn't matter. So that's all we want right there when I touch this in the pole. So let's give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and put this probe underneath, because trying to hold this pole up against the rudder post is not easy. There you go. So you hear that? That's working. Sounds good. So that means that that the wire on here is connected to the rudder post. So that's good. That's what you want. So the previous owner, he had an ammeter that measures amperage, and he had it in the loop. So he had it on the cable, and he had it down underneath here. And I pulled it out and was looking at it, and I tried to see if it would work. And what it does is it just shows how much amperage is moving between the zinc and your rudder post. So like I said, it creates a battery, so current flows. What he was doing was he was trying to see how much current was flowing through here when they're connected. And I couldn't get it to work, so I just took it out of the loop. It was a real old ammeter. It was real funky. It was analog, and that's what you'd want. But I went ahead and took it out of the loop. Now, my other boat, and I think I measured it on this boat. I don't know if I measured it on my other boat. I took the transmission off, the coupler off the prop shaft. So the prop shaft the boat was in the water. The prop shaft was going out through the bottom of the boat, and the prop shaft and the prop was in the water. And what I did was I took this voltmeter and I set it to voltage, DC voltage, and I touched the prop shaft and I touched the engine block. And it showed a 0.5 volt. So that's how much of a battery that was the salt water and the prop shaft was creating. So a 0.5 volt, 0.5 volts. And I didn't measure the current, but there'd be the more current that's flowing through there, the faster your zincs are going to decay. And like I said before, once your zincs decay to a certain point, then your prop shaft is going to start to decay, or your prop. Usually it's the prop. The thinner blades will probably go first, and it would take quite a lot to really damage a prop shaft. though it could happen. What happens is it'll start getting pitted. The metal will start looking pitted, so you don't want to see that. So, but the zincs will pit, and they do that naturally when they decay. So that's how you watch them. Keep an eye on them, and so you can change your zincs when you haul your boat out to get the bottom painted. Of course, you'll always want to change your zincs when you do that. But you can also hire a diver to dive in, or if you dive in yourself, if you got dive equipment, or you can hold your breath long enough, you can dive down and change your zincs yourself. It's a good idea to have an extra zinc hanging over the side of your boat. It's not hard to do. It's real easy. It's definitely worth the effort. And like I said, you can keep an eye on how fast your zincs are decaying like that. It's extra protection to protect the zincs that are already on the prop shaft and the prop and the rudder post and the other underwater metals, if you have them all connected together to the zinc that you have hanging over the side of your boat. And it's real simple to do. You can pull the zinc and the wire out of the water when you take off on the boat to drive the boat around. So it works out really well, and a great idea. So if you found this video to be helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe.